I'm definitely getting a whiff of the electronics being on smell from this.
Interesting.
Is that what you get? I get a lot of the styrofoam, and that's the high that I ride throughout these episodes.
I see. Yeah, not getting that. It's mostly just electronic.
Can we get another little whip? Yeah, that's perfect. Welcome to Podpodcastcast. And welcome to Podpodcastcast. It's a podcast where we review other podcasts. I'm Sam.
And I'm Honor.
Way to enunciate.
Thanks.
And today we're joined by Teak. Hi, Teak.
Actually, it's Reverend Teak.
Reverend
Thank you very
Teak.
much.
I'm sorry. That wasn't on our show notes for today.
I'll sheet.
I'll talk to the intern about that. Clearly they didn't do the right research. You are here to promote the supplements, though, right?
What now?
The super beets. You're into the super beets. You farm beets with your bare hands, and you make TikTok content about it. You're gonna sell the supplements. We get kickbacks.
Does your intern think that I'm Dwight or something?
From The Office?
Yeah, is that what's
Teak,
going on here?
I know the audience can't see you, and while you do have a very clerical voice, you, I think, have a tremendously Dwight aura. Do you think? Is that offensive? I just feel like you're a little bit. If I'm Jim, you're kind of my Dwight. Maybe I'm Dwight and you're Jim, because I feel like you prank me. I feel like you're always coming up behind me and pranking me.
I don't think I take myself nearly as seriously
As Dwight?
Yeah.
Sure. Who are you most like from The Office? And while you think about what Office character you are, Teak, I'm going to start talking about my podcast.
Okay.
All right, guys. This one's a long time coming. I started off this podcast with video game podcast Thumb Cramps. Now, Thumb Cramps is part of an Australian podcast network called Sanspants Radio. All right?
Okay.
I like Sanspants Radio a lot. I've listened to a bunch of their podcasts for a very long time. So far, I've been an extra good boy. And I've only talked about two of them, Thumb Cramps and D&D is for Nerds. And that one's only because you made me, Honor.
Yeah.
You forced the D&D episode upon me.
No, yeah.
So today I've decided to bring the third of what I might call the triumvirate of Sanspants podcasts, Plumbing the Death Star.
Okay.
Now, based off that name, what do you think Plumbing the Death Star is about?
Star Wars?
Good guess?
My guess would be like infrastructure of fictional locations.
OSHA violations?
OSHA violations, the podcast? No and no, although I like the infrastructure much better. It's not a Star Wars podcast. They put that like it is one of the big things in their description.
Okay.
It is a comedy pop culture podcast. Basically, they just take a topic in pop culture, some piece of media from some point in time, and then they talk about it. So like the very first episode is the Empire from Star Wars racist? And the answer is
okay.
Yeah, probably. Like they're not letting any Wookiees in, you know? It just seems like it's a bunch of white dudes in white helmets.
Yeah.
Bad vibes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the thing for this podcast. They find a topic and then they just talk about it. It's really that these guys are funny and then they sometimes stick to the topic and other times they don't.
Yeah.
So I just recently listened to the How Would You Survive Unwillingly Being Put into Space?
This is just like Midnight Burger.
I probably just wouldn't.
You think you wouldn't?
Probably not. If I was just unwillingly put into space, I probably wouldn't survive that.
What do you... I feel like I would be so determined to survive. You know what I mean? I'd be like, all right, I'm here. It's like being conscripted. You've been sent to the front lines. You know, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be here, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back alive.
Maybe, but I am not Matt Damon. That is not me.
Sure, but no one said you were stranded. Like, just what if you were conscripted to go to the moon? You know, like the Apollo missions.
That's not what you made it sound like.
Yeah. That
What?
If you were randomly put into space.
And like had no, like just in a tin can?
this is the Martian, I'm dead. If this is gravity, I'm dead.
Yeah, no, I think you're dying in a lot of these cases. But I'm just saying, normal, you
Normal sent into space.
normal sent into space. You know what I mean? Like, did Neil Armstrong really have to do that much? I
But
don't
Neil
think so.
Armstrong also wasn't randomly put into space.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying they could take any monkey and put it up there. And I'm saying you guys are any monkeys.
I mean,
I think I'd be fing fine.
they did.
I'd be flipping fine. Strike one.
Strike one.
Yeah.
Sorry. I get emotional about these things.
You
I
curse
mean,
more
they
than
did
anyone.
just put a bunch of celebrities in space, 2 days ago, just for the fun of it.
Yeah. And I feel like just do that to me, but don't make me pay.
Okay. And what if the world was made of pudding?
We'd probably sink.
And,
Do you think?
And that's so true, and that's why you're the voice of reason on this podcast, Teak.
I think I'd be fine in space. I think you guys are weak-willed. I think that's true.
Okay.
I'm more thinking about how I'm going to survive the pudding apocalypse. How
Yeah.
long can I swim in a world of pudding?
I
How
think,
much pudding can I eat in a world of pudding?
Yeah.
I think you're fine in a world of pudding. Does pudding have enough water to stop you from dying of thirst?
Yeah, but it's all pudding.
That did not. Yeah. So if you can eat and you can drink, you'll be fine.
You drown in the pudding?
Do you think if the whole world is
If
pudding,
the whole world was made of pudding.
do you think I sink in pudding?
You
Yeah.
sink.
I don't
until
think I
you're-
would. I think I would. I would go on my back. I think I would float.
I mean, you'd do that for a while, but eventually you'd get tired, and then you'd sink to where your body reaches the gravitational density of pudding.
Sure.
Like the
Mhm.
pudding will get denser as you go down.
Okay. Well, let's real talk.
So until it gets to same body density, you'll just sink to that point, and then you're drowning in pudding.
In pudding world, it just collapses and forms like a new core of the earth. The world just gets smaller if everything's made of pudding.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there would still be loose pudding at the surface.
Yeah.
I think it would just all collapse.
That's a lot
down.
of pudding.
Yeah, like gravity can only do so much.
Yeah, and I think it would just break it down into other things. I think we'd all die because the floor would stop being there. You know what I mean? Because the whole crust
Okay,
would come
yeah.
in on itself. I don't know what that does to a person.
Probably death.
Probably death.
Are the buildings surviving, or are those also pudding?
Everything is
The
pudding.
world is made of pudding.
But-
What if the world was made of pudding?
But men are still man
Men are still man.
and women.
Good job. Here's your brownie point. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Is that what you want, Sam?
Women?
You want not women in specific,
Okay.
but you want to repopulate in a world that is made entirely of pudding?
I don't.
That seems like it would be very sticky.
I don't think pudding's sticky. I've never
What?
experienced sticky pudding.
Well, that's just a very pleasant dessert.
Yeah.
Sticky pudding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a British thing.
Yeah. Sticky pudding.
I feel like
You've
maybe
just
I
said a
don't-
real phrase on accident.
Yeah.
So, Plumbing the Death Star is a podcast that I've listened to for a long time. I've heard of many silly bits on sometimes it's as simple as we watched the latest Star Wars movie. What if it wasn't bad, So they dive into a topic in a really silly way that I find to be quite enjoyable. So I've listened to a lot of their episodes. I would like to bring some of them to you guys, and I would like to see how you handle them. Okay?
Mm, very good. I will say this sounds a lot like the podcast Distractable, which is one of the first podcasts a guest ever brought on to this podcast, which I think it's a solid premise. Anytime it's like, here's some guys that are funny. We're going to come up with a random, weird, fake problem. A fake problem for them to solve.
Sure.
And
yeah.
then they'll debate for an hour and a half. And then that's the episode. I'm like, yeah, man.
I feel like the Plumbing the Death Star is if the Distractable boys were dumber.
That's awesome.
I think that might be it. Well, also, so these guys, so it's hosted by Jackson Bailey, Joel Dusher, and Joel Zammett. There's two Joels.
Mhm.
And the podcast that they host, so they host several podcasts across the Sanspants network, They're collectively referred to as the Bad Brain Boys podcast.
That's awesome.
And you can subscribe to the Bad Brain Boys Plus to get their extra podcast.
That's so good.
They're truly rotten because they say some things that I'm like, wow, this is really dumb. They were trying to figure out which ocean you cross to go from Australia to the UK. And the first answer was the Atlantic. And I was like, are they going from Sydney to across America to and then again? And they're like, no, I think don't we go over the Italy one? And they're like,
the Italy one?
It's not great.
The Italy one.
I think the correct answer is Pacific and Arctic.
I'll believe you.
What? Are you saying they go over the top of the world?
Yeah.
No,
Like
definitely.
you're going to go down under the Strait of Magellan?
No, you definitely just fly. I'm saying if you're.
Oh, I was thinking by boat.
No.
Yeah, you said which ocean?
Yeah. What was the issue? You go over both if you're in planes.
Because they were trying to figure out if you were flying, if you had to make a landing like Sully or like Denzel Washington in the movie Flight, how would you land? Where would you land? And it would have to. What ocean would it be in?
An airport.
If that's not the selling point. You've been hit by geese. Okay, the geese have attacked you, and you've got to make an emergency water landing.
Why are there geese over the ocean?
I don't know.
That's-
Ocean geese,
yeah.
man. All right.
There's no geese out there. That's freaking silly, Sam. What the heck?
All right. I got some questions for you guys.
Okay.
What would you do if you found Anakin's body before Palpatine?
Kill him.
I was hesitant to ask that question because I didn't even know if you know like what they were referring to. But you're with it.
I know Anakin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm killing
And he's
that
on
guy.
fire. He's in the lake of lava.
Yeah.
And you just get done with it. There's no episodes 4 through 6.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Does Obi-Wan take his lightsaber? Because if not, I'm
Yes.
taking his lightsaber.
Yes, because that's what Luke gets in episode 4.
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
does take his lightsaber. Damn, I wanted the lightsaber.
So you get there. The lightsaber's not there. There's just a
Mhm.
guy rolling around going, ah, ah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'd trolley problem that and just, like, if I don't touch it, that's not my problem. And then he's dying.
Are we assuming...
But then Palpatine will find him. He'll become Darth Vader
Oh.
and terrorize the galaxy.
do
I
we
don't
know
know.
who he is in this situation?
I mean, do you think you could identify a burnt Hayden Christensen?
I think the real answer is I'd probably, like, push him back in.
Yeah.
into his suffering. He's clearly...
I think
like-
me and Teak are on the same page.
You're just like,
if I don't know who he is and I see someone, like, burning alive on the ground...
that's what
I'm
you
gonna
do?
wanna, like,
if you see someone burning alive, you're like, oh, back in the pit with you.
if they look already dead.
we know that burn...
He's screaming.
Like, let's be honest here. Like, people who just, like, dip their... Like, fall into, like, hot springs and Yellowstones, like, up to their knees or up to their waist, that's already basically fatal due to infections.
Sure.
So, like, this guy who's, like, burned all over, like, he's dead. He's dead. You might as well put him out of his misery.
You
at that
roll it
point.
back in. That's crazy. All right. Well, there we go. We got 2 answers, which are
Really,
Put it
I
back.
wish
put it back where you found him.
I ran into him earlier because I hate Luke Skywalker and wish that I could somehow prevent that from ever happening.
That is a really upsetting thing to hear as a
that's
Star Wars
mean to
fan.
Leia. I wish she could have just been by herself, you know.
You just want to be there slightly later and then be like, yes, I'll take the boy. Audience,
I
you
just
didn't see
wanted
it, but I did make a ringing motion with my hands.
I just want to prevent it altogether.
Next question. If Elton John's Your Song was your song, would you be happy?
Considering that every other Elton John song I can think of, I like more than that one,
Sure.
probably not.
You'd be like, Elton, I'm flattered you wrote me a song, but also you wrote me a terrible song and I
Like,
hate it.
This is the worst one of yours I can think of.
I
You
love
could have,
you,
like,
Mm.
dedicated, like, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road to me or something.
But that it wouldn't have been your song, you know? It would have been, well, I guess. I imagine if every play of Yellow Brick Road was like, and remember this one goes out to Teak.
If Marilyn Monroe can get her own song, why can't I? but one that's better than your song. Ideally.
That is tough. Honor, do you hate it as much?
Yeah, I never heard it before, and I don't think I liked it.
You guys? Ingrateful. Okay. Which Mario Kart racer would be the best taxi driver?
Luigi.
You say Luigi?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said Gooigi.
No.
Gooigi.
Too slippery.
Yeah. The Luigi
Too
that's made
gooey.
out of goo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too gooey, can't steer.
Is
Luigi, I trust. He'll get me where I need to go.
Luigi seems like the classic nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd be okay.
I have a counterpoint here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Donkey Kong.
I was just about to say that.
No,
'Cause-
wait. Is Funky Kong in any of the Mario Karts? Because that
know.
guy's getting me where I need to go. And
don't-
stat.
I don't know. Funky Kong's too chill.
Like, if you see a taxi up next to you and it's being driven by a gorilla, are you going to cut him off? I don't think
gorilla?
so. You're not going to want to mess with the gorilla driver.
Not only
This
is he
guy's not a
he's a
gorilla.
gorilla with a tie, so
He's not a gorilla.
Dude, what are you talking about? He's actually a gorilla.
He's an ape, but he's not a gorilla.
I can't. We're not getting into monkey classification.
He clearly does not look like a gorilla.
He's a monkey, dude.
He's an ape.
He's a big, swole, furry man.
He's an ape.
That's a gorilla.
He's not a gorilla.
Some
He's an
generic
ape. Diddy Kong is a
species.
monkey. Get it right.
Last question. What gifts would you provide to the people that come to visit you if you're the Wizard of Oz? Or how would you reward Dorothy and her friends in the Wizard of Oz?
This is an awesome question.
That's
because
crazy.
I love the Wizard of Oz.
I picked this one purely because it has the longest title for any podcast episode I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I really like the gifts that they're given already.
You mean knickknacks?
Yeah,
Actual garbage?
it's awesome.
That's not even a real
they
degree.
fill this guy.
That's legit. Like, what authority does he have?
Well,
He's
okay,
not a
they put-
university.
His heart is like, stopwatch heart.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
watch.
It's awesome.
It's
That's
a
cool.
tchotchke. It sucks.
That's cool. They give this lion whiskey. That's rad.
Is that what they give him?
Yeah.
They-
I'm talking books.
Oh, okay.
And you know what they do, the
books,
Scarecrow?
No one cares about the books.
The scarecrow, they fill his head with nails and sawdust. So then he's got freaking nails sticking out everywhere. You know why?
Why?
Because he's sharp.
These gifts suck.
They're
These gifts
awesome.
are actually really bad.
They're awesome. I love the Wizard of Oz books.
Teak,
Okay.
what would you give me if I come to you and I'm like, my little dog and I have been lost in the land of Oz.
Well,
Please, big, strong wizard man, give to me your gifts.
in his position, it's evident that I will be leaving soon.
Sure.
So, as I have been the monarch, apparently, of the
Yeah.
major city of this realm for I don't know how many years, 20?
I think
more?
you're basically
like
the emperor from Star Wars. It's a 20-year reign for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would not give anything to the locals and just give Dorothy enough to have her help me get home and just pillage everything else. Like take all of the
That's pretty
royal
much what he
reserves.
does.
Yeah.
Are
But
you're
make
loading up your hot air balloon with gold?
Yeah.
I see,
literally
I see.
everything, all of the valuables that I have accumulated throughout my reign and take them with me.
That's kind of
And
what
just give
happens.
Dorothy enough to convince her to not leave me there.
To side with you.
Yes.
You're an inspiration to us all. Truly a Machiavellian.
This is kind of what happens in the book. He's like, hey, actually, I'm losing my mind here. Help me get home. And Dorothy helps him fix the hot air balloon and get home.
Does he have gold?
Not really, because the thing is, the Emerald City is not the Emerald City. Everyone is required to wear these green lensed glasses because they say you have to put these shades on or else the brilliance of the city will blind you. But in actuality, they just put on these green tinted glasses, but everything is like white and boring and not made out of emeralds. into Emerald City.
We got to get Teak some gold then.
Yeah, no,
We can
that's
get him some
fair.
gold.
I would still loot the treasury.
Yeah,
and the
you for
banks.
sure can.
Like, there's still got to be some money there.
Yeah, there's for sure stuff you can take, and I think you would. In the book, though, the wizard was like, actually, everything's fake. I just gotta go.
So you guys get it. You get the premise now. It's fun to talk about weird little hypotheticals. They pick out some really strange ones, and they're just very silly. I mean, these guys have a great dynamic together. Jackson is perpetually the fool and says things that are inconceivable. Like from Thumb Cramps, he has his hierarchy of showers. There are, in his estimation, 6 different kinds of showers. 9, maybe. I haven't kept up with the new lore. Joel Dusher is always being like, you're a moron. And then says something that kind of makes sense, but then he's like, wait a minute. How does physics work? And then Joel Zammit is there, usually playing both sides and eventually also pitching something insane.
Okay.
It's really fun.
This sounds like they're all you.
I try to embody them with me every day. I wake up and I say, may the power of Jackson, Zammit, and Dusher inhabit me.
Yeah.
I
Very
would believe that.
All right. It's a great podcast. I think it's a lot of fun. It is very silly. You're not going to get a lot of great in-depth analysis out of this one, but I think it's a good nonsense podcast if you're like guys who are just going to spew some crap. Before I give my rating on this, Teak, I'd like you to do me a favor.
Okay.
All right, Teak, I'm handing you my computer.
Okay.
My computer. And now you have a picture of what each of the 3 hosts look like. I've listened to this podcast for so long and I've never seen their faces, and I don't think I could handle it if I did. I think my brain would melt down. So would you describe to me what they look like?
Okay. Right off the bat, Joel Dusher looks like an Evan Peters American Horror Story character.
No idea who that is. This works for me. I still don't have any image, and that's great.
Joel Zammit definitely looks like a Joel.
Is he short? I imagine him to be very short.
I don't know. It's just from like the torso up, but his head is tall. He's got a tall head on.
What does
him.
that mean?
Okay.
He has a little squat head. I don't understand this.
No, he's got a tall head.
No.
Sam, you asked for this.
I hate it. I really hate it. But I
Then
feel
why'd
like I
you do
need to
this?
undergo this procedure.
They have all got a lot of facial hair.
No!
So
No, they should not have that.
This is the secret about most podcast people you listen to. You're not going to envision them with facial hair, and they're going to have facial hair.
They're all clean shaven.
Yeah.
They should all be clean shaven.
No,
Jackson
that's
has
not
glasses. They look wiry.
That's wrong. That's wrong. Is that it?
true. That's it.
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
Those are your
Teak. I
heroes.
really hated that. That was awful. This is a good podcast. I would say, for me, a Sam Herner, I think it's a 4.4 out of 5 pods. 4 out of 5
Nice.
Death Stars. You could blow up a lot of plans with it. I think it's a great, fun time. I have used it a lot to fall asleep to. It's not going to be for everyone. I can immediately, hear people listen to this and bounce off and be like, I'm never going to listen to Sam's recommendations again. I understand
Awesome.
that. I really like it. Honor, what's a podcast you really like?
So I really pulled a Sam this week. I really pulled a Sam for this episode. Because I went, okay, let's find something really bite-sized that's just kind of funny, and I'll listen to it in kind of one go, and then I'll be done. It won't be something I get super invested in. Short, easy to listen to. The main thing that was really Samish is that this was really short.
No, I got that. I feel like that's
Yeah,
really what you've hammered
That's
home.
really the point I mean.
Perfect.
So I listened to a podcast called Mars's Best Brisket. And this is a tiny little podcast. I don't even remember how I stumbled onto it. It's so random. It's from like 2020. It's 3 episodes, and the longest is 18 minutes, and that's with like 5 minutes of credit stuff.
This is beautiful. It sounds like you've listened to a little haiku of a podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. But also, part of why it is so short, but the credits were like 5 minutes long, was because this was very cool. It was part of like a fundraiser event that whatever the studio was behind it was doing, where they were raising money for, so this is a podcast about a restaurant on Mars, a barbecue restaurant on Mars. They're raising money for like a food drive kind of charity event. But they were like, hey, if you liked this episode of this podcast, go donate money. And I'm like, that's really cool. I'd never seen that done in my life.
They're asking you to donate real money.
Yeah.
They're not asking you to donate to the fake brisket place on Mars.
No, they're like, hey,
Cool.
if you liked this podcast we made, let's give some actual food to people who need it. Here's where you can go donate to our cause.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So it's about the best brisket place on Mars, which is called Mars's Best Brisket. They
That makes sense.
they really take it and own it, and also it's the only brisket place on Mars.
Yo,
Yeah.
dude, so much like there's going to be such a market opportunity when Mars gets colonized.
Yeah.
You telling me you can be like, I am the oldest falafel place on the red planet?
Yeah.
I think this
That
is
is
going to
good
be
marketing.
Okay, what do you think is the first chain restaurant to be on Mars?
Mars's Best Brisket.
I don't think that's a chain.
No, I think it'll be Wendy's.
Wendy's?
Yeah.
Isn't Subway supposed to be really easy to franchise?
Maybe. I just feel like Wendy's will be there.
I know Subway is the most numerous. I think it really has to be who has the ambition. I could see it being Burger King, and that's a little bit of a curveball.
Right.
But I think it's
Yeah.
because, like, who goes to Burger Kings anymore? They're kind of
No.
declining in popularity.
They're never good.
So they need that little extra boost by being the first one on Mars.
They need to be the Burger Kings of Mars.
Facts, poetry snaps.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. I don't think it's going to be McDonald's. You think it would because they have the resources. No. I'm saying it's an underdog here because they're the only ones desperate enough. They're like, there's too many Big Macs
Please.
going out the door. We got to get some Whoppers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's good. The first road on Mars will be called Whopper Boulevard.
It'll be that song they have where it's like, Whopper, 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 we're on Mars, get a Whopper. And that's the campaign.
And if that happens, listener, you owe us $1,000.
Do I get royalties on that?
No. So what's this
So-
podcast about?
Yeah, so this podcast is about married couple Herbert and Olaf who they came to Mars from Texas. It's really funny because Olaf is called Ollie, and Ollie definitely has a British accent, but there's a critic who comes in the first episode and he's like, where'd you guys immigrate to Mars from? And they're like, Austin, Texas. Can't you tell from the way that we speak? It's really funny to me. And so they decided to come to Mars, and they were like, you know what Mars needs is some of the good food that we know how to make. And so they decided to start a barbecue place on Mars. It's Mars's Best Brisket because they're the only ones making brisket. Also, like I said, the first episode, a food critic comes in. The food critic actually comes there just because the sign that says Mars's Best Brisket is so bright that this food critic was like mad about it. It was like, if you're wrong, I want this sign taken down. But if you're right, then I'll let you have this sign that shines directly into my bedroom window. And so he tries the best brisket, but first he's like, so what's the deal? And they're like, so it's actually made from improbable beef. And he's like, improbable beef? But it's not made from, that's not meat. That's like best for like a ground beef substitute. But they're like, what does improbable beef come from? Improbable cow. So then you can then that's basically from cow, and then you make brisket. And this guy's like, what? And they're like, of course. And that's kind of how it goes.
That was insane to listen to you say.
Yeah.
That was I
It's
got
just-
the point in the end, but
Yeah.
when you were watching Otter say that, did that feel like you were like, you're like, is my brain wrong right now?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
And that's kind of how the episode is.
Okay, good.
it's not impossible, improbable.
Improbable.
I also like.
Yeah, because he's like, it's impossible to get brisket from what's not a cow. And they're like, it's not impossible. It's improbable. And it's like, oh, duh. Of course.
What?
Okay, so improbable cows are just a thing that exists. Then.
No.
They're unlikely
No?
cows.
No, this is by the logic of if there's improbable beef, then that has to come from improbable cow, and so you can get brisket from cow. And you're like, so that's not real logic, but it apparently works on Mars.
That's
And it's funny.
Awesome. My favorite part so far is the existence of a food critic on Mars.
Yeah, there's a
I
food
hope-
critic.
I hope that Mars is populated solely by the creatives. You know, I
Yeah.
hope there's no doctors or mechanics. I hope there's no one building anything on Mars. I hope it's just a lot of people with their opinions.
Yeah.
I hope all the listicle people, they're all on Olympus spawns.
That's awesome. A lot of people with opinions. It's really funny. But yeah, so episode 2 then is called The Help. They are like, gosh, we're getting so many people coming to get the best brisket because the food critic is like, oh my gosh, this should not be good because it's vegan and improbable beef brisket, but it's delicious. And so there's 1 million people, and they're like, just the two of us can't run this restaurant alone. We need to hire somebody. And then it cuts to, it's like game show, like crazy like music and like ding 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 ding, and like they're like, and next up is the, I don't remember his name. He's like, his whole shtick is that he's from New Moscow, which is, he's like Russian but Martian, and he's really hot, and that's his whole thing. Or the other contestant who is really funny to me, he's like the opposite of a very pretentious vegan, where he's like, plant violence is violence. It's unethical to be eating this much plants. And so it's like, why are you here for this job? But it's really funny to me personally because I'm like, yeah, we should be eating more meat. And then there's the last kid who is just like an actual teenager looking for a summer job and is like, why is this set up like a game show? And Ollie and Herbert are like, 'cause it's fun. And so they're doing the game show, and then this kid comes on and he's like, I'm gonna do a summer job. And they're like, awesome. He already knows the whole menu because his mom has to work late a lot. Actually, because I think she is a doctor. There are doctors on Mars.
No!
So she orders food in a lot from Mars's Best Brisket. So he's like, I already know the whole freaking menu. And they're like, perfect, you're hired, kid. Then, episode 3. They step outside, and there's a sign across the street that says Mars's Better Brisket.
No way!
Yeah.
But still not as good as the best brisket, so
No.
Yeah, better's just
they've gone down. Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
But they're like, you can't do this. You're clearly ripping us off. And he's like, no, because actually you can't have a monopoly. And so I'm going to do this. And they're like, you know what? We're going to have a cook-off to see who has to rename the restaurant. And I don't remember the name they come up with, but it's like really, it's like Good Beef or something. It's like, who wants to have a restaurant called Good Beef?
Good
Nobody.
That rocks. Just
Good beef.
Beef.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay, but that is what I want to know. I want to know what a restaurant serves, beef,
Mm-hmm.
and its quality.
Good.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Does good beef serve improbable beef?
This is a good question.
It doesn't say good and probable beef. It should be 100% beef. If there's anything else, I'll be greatly disappointed.
Yeah, it says good beef. It does not say good improbable beef.
Yeah, they might have to change all of what they're doing.
What's the probability of this beef? It better be 1.
Sam just pushed up his fake glasses that he doesn't have because he's a nerd.
And he just keeps
Speaking
doing
of
it.
nerds, Mars's Better Brisket doesn't have any cooks. It just has the like rich twiddly, his mustache type guy owner, and he has an AI robot that makes all the food. So they're like, it can't be good, but he can make so much more than us. However, they have this cook-off. The gang is cooking like crazy. Also, the way they get into the cook-off is they kind of slowly start speaking in rhyme, and then one of them is like, wait, why are you rhyming? And it's like, it must be cook-off time. And so then it switches. Actually, I was like, I can't tell if this is really jarring or surprisingly seamless that then they're like narrating the cook-off as it happens in this rhyme, like this long rhyming narration where it's like, yeah, you couldn't really just kind of have the sound effects of like scraping the grill and
Sure. Yeah.
Like, how else were they gonna do a cook-off?
It feels
This is kind of fun. And then they have the cook-off. Mars' Best Brisket wins because they put love in it, and that's the secret ingredient, and it just tastes way better than the food that the robot makes. And so they win. And then they're Mars' Best Brisket.
This is beautiful. It kind of sounds like you listened to if Dr. Seuss made an audio drama.
A little bit.
It just feels like things are wacky, and it's almost like
Things
a
are
Looney
wacky?
Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
This sounds fun, but I do have to dock it a few points for very clearly ripping off season 1, episode 19B of SpongeBob, Neptune's Spatula,
Okay.
where SpongeBob gets into a Krabby Patty cook-off with King Neptune. And obviously, King
My
Neptune
God.
as a god and can produce a lot more, but SpongeBob ends up making only one, but it's much higher quality. And
Is it because of love?
Well, actually,
of course it is, Sam.
Oh my gosh!
No,
Teak,
hold on.
This is like some
Hold on.
crazy investigative journalism.
Hold on. It's not a ripoff because there's 3 like points that they can get for the cook-off, right? And so the first point, they actually do end up making more because the robot can cook faster, and they were so worried about that. But it actually runs out of meat to cook really fast because Mars Better Brisket hadn't opened yet. They were expecting a small opening day. They weren't a fully functioning restaurant, so they didn't have the supply. They weren't prepared for this kind of cook-off, and so they didn't have as much. So they won for quality. However, Mars Better Brisket then plates their brisket, and they make it into a smiley face on the plate, and so they get the point for that. However, that means the tiebreaker is whose tastes better, and that's Mars's Best Brisket.
Yeah, I think these guys absolutely 100% looked at the SpongeBob transcript. They looked at the screenplay, ripped it off line by line. Unbelievable.
And that's what they did.
Hacks.
And they raised a lot of money for charity.
That's
You
awesome.
know, worth
Yeah.
it.
Worth it.
Is there a SpongeBob podcast? Yes, there is. Look it up. There was a beautiful amount of silence that I'm going to cut out. But there is absolutely. You can watch SpongeBob Binge Pants by Nickelodeon.
Wow.
Oh, it's official.
It's official. And I got to be honest, I don't think that many people are listening. Well, also, it's over.
Okay.
I guess they binged it all? I'm not... Nope. Only 45 episodes. Who is Frankie Grande?
Ariana Grande's less popular cousin.
Is that true?
I have no
It
idea.
sounds like it.
Might be, though.
I'd believe it.
This person looks very strange.
Wow.
I mean, you probably would too if you were doing a SpongeBob podcast.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. I am jealous. Anna, this sounds like a delightful little podcast.
It was a delightful little podcast. It was less than an hour to listen to. It was really fun. It was like, yeah, let's just have a goofy, fun time. I was like, wow, this was a charity thing? That's points.
Yeah.
Because that was nice. Just made you feel happy about the whole thing.
Right?
Yeah. I would say this was like, it was obviously nothing crazy. Not like a crazy plot to get invested in or anything. It was mostly just some goofs. But I'd say solid, like, 3 out of 5 briskets.
Audible high five?
Yeah,
We'll see if that picked up.
it did.
Speaking of picking up, Teak, carry me away with your podcast.
Well, I did not really have time to prepare.
Yes.
Too much.
Should we pull back the curtain?
Sure. a
We
little bit.
ambushed him. We jumped him in an alley and we said, you have to record a podcast with us right now. Right now.
I texted Teak at like noon today, and I was like, hey, could you come record the podcast really fast? Because we had a scheduling snafu with someone else. So Teak is gracious to have come in. We are recording this a lot later than we usually do. So there's almost, I don't know if you guys feel it, there's almost like sleepover vibes, I feel. You know? It feels like we could go all night. We could go all night. Let's set up some sleeping bags. Let's rent a movie from Blockbuster.
Yeah, let's go to the Red Box.
The Red Box, which is also something I forget about.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming here.
Of course.
Of course, you've not had that much time to prepare, but I know that you're a podhead, or at least somewhat of a podhead. You like this
in a specific way.
In a specific way. You've got your niche interests, and I know you listen to podcasts about those. But we were also talking before you came on. You're a visual podcast guy. You're a YouTube podcast guy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. I just don't have this feeling.
I don't know. I just usually need some sort of visual aspect to look at to keep myself engaged. Like, I can be doing something else while listening, but it's nice to just be able to look over and see something happening, even if it is just people's faces sitting around a table.
Fascinating. So do you have what podcast did you think about bringing on today?
Well, I didn't really think of a specific one, more so of I play the card game Magic the Gathering quite a bit.
The terrible, life-destroying addiction, Magic the Gathering.
Don't lie, Sam. You like it too.
It's fun. No, yeah. Magic the Gathering, nerd trading card game.
Nerds.
You buy 1 million cards, you learn 1,000 rules, and you have a good time with other nerds.
Yeah, of course. But the nature of the game is there's a bunch of cards, there's a bunch of rules, and those stay pretty consistent. But there are various formats, sort of like poker, where there's same cards, same winning hand structure, but different rules amongst the different versions of the game.
Right.
And you can choose which one you like more to play.
Right. So in some versions, you have more cards, more health points that you're fighting people with.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Intriguing.
Because of this, the content that can be made is highly varied. There are podcasts for pretty much anything regarding Magic the Gathering, including deck building, card reviews, tournament statistics. But the one I've found myself listening to the most recently is called Play to Win. It is the format that I play most is called Commander, and the Play to Win podcast covers all aspects related to highly competitive tournament level Commander gameplay.
Got it.
And most of the time it's just new card reviews, how certain decks are performing.
They're showing you, like, this is the strat. If you're an elite Magic the Gathering Commander player, this is what you got to be doing to keep up with the competition.
Yeah, because I have one deck that is at that level, and I play it occasionally. But I like to keep the higher level you are, the more in tune you have to be with what is going on and what other people are playing.
I see. You have to be keeping up. It's like any top professional level athletic competition.
Yeah,
You got to know what the competition's up to. Okay, real talk. So there's all these tournaments, these Magic the Gathering tournaments. If you win one, do you get money?
I have participated in one so far. How it typically works is you do a few preliminary rounds. In this one, it was 3. And then based on how many games you win and what your placement was in each game, you go to top 8, then top 4, and then top 4 usually gets prizing. For this event, it was $20 entry. First prize, the prizing was all cards. The first prize was a card worth, I believe, around $600.
Whoa.
And then down from there, it was, I believe, cards worth $200, $120, and $80 respectively.
So so I think that's also interesting. That's the other aspect of Magic the Gathering, is that it, because of the rarity of the cards and how cool they are, how good they are, there's almost this stock market-esque trading scheme. How much is this one valued? Looking at it as an investment, which I think is a really strange connection between the nerdoverse and the finance bros. Because I think there is that Venn diagram overlaps in looking at Magic the Gathering card prices.
It is very interesting. Every card I get, I put into a database that allows me to see the financial trend for each card over time. And
So do you look at it as an investment? Like, are you planning on selling if you get a really valuable one, or are you going to keep that because you want to play it? Like, that's the other, like,
I keep things that I play, and anything I don't play, I keep around for trade purposes to get other things that I will play. I do occasionally sell in trade cards, but I believe as of the last time I looked, over time, everything I have is up 23% right now.
that's outpacing inflation.
Whoa.
That's huge. That's huge.
Granted, it is there's yearly fluctuations.
Sure.
And we are currently at the point in the year with one of the highest average card prices because people are getting their tax returns. So people are spending their tax returns
That is so
on
silly.
cards. So prices spike during tax return season.
If you've received your tax return, please don't spend it on Magic the Gathering.
People do.
Go buy, I don't know, a shovel.
I feel like that is the perfect time to spend money on Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah,
I just
because it's
feel like you
extra
should-
money that you aren't going to have, that you didn't have.
Okay, but yeah, you have it now. Go to invest in it. It's something else.
Hey, you just said my cards are outpacing the stock market.
All right,
So,
okay. Is this like the next like woke investment strategy?
okay.
Yeah.
I maybe just buying. Okay, but this feels like
People do this, yeah.
Yeah, my boss over the summer does this, or used to do this. He has sold out 3 times over the course. Like, got everything, sold out 3 times. And with the profits, he has bought 2 cars, bought his first house, bought his second house, and a summer camp.
A summer camp?
Yep.
I think
That he's a teacher.
Summer camp?
He's a high school teacher, and he bought all of that by flipping Magic the Gathering cards.
flip. What do you mean flip? What
Wait,
is this our new grift?
maybe.
But this sounds like it might be work. Like, I don't want to.
It
Sorry,
is-
not to offend your podcast, but I don't want to listen to it. Like, I don't want to keep up to date.
Yeah, I just want it to happen.
It
Maybe
is
that
a
may-
lot of work because card prices are so volatile, and you have to be good at speculating because when new cards come out, they aren't immediately going to jump to whatever price they end up at because new developments can be discovered any day, and what cards perform better in tournaments will change over time.
Okay, so this podcast that you're talking about, Play to Win, do you think it's good for this insane side of Magic the Gathering, which is the investment angle, or is it mostly for competitive play? Is it mostly like, I want to be an elite, like I want to go win all of the tournaments so that I can go get cards that are worth a lot of money, which is also an insane strategy. Which one of those use cases is it for, do you think?
It is almost exclusively gameplay
Okay.
and strategy. There are plenty of finance podcasts. And
Sure.
I believe there are many subreddits and other websites that keep track of this. Like, the finance is a very real thing and a thing that people keep track of a lot.
That's crazy.
But I don't listen to those podcasts because I am a college student who doesn't have $1,000 to spec on one specific card.
Hey,
Yeah, this
Teak,
makes sense.
If you suddenly get a lot of money because you've sold your little pieces of paper, you can buy Podpodcastcast. Honor, are you okay with that deal? Let's just make that deal right now. I'd say one white dragon,
One white dragon.
and we're good to go.
2 white dragons.
3.
I do have a Blue Eyes White Dragon. You want to trade ownership of your podcast for a Blue Eyes White Dragon?
I'm ready to sell us out. You good with that, Honor?
Sure.
All right,
All right.
done. It's funny because that's a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
It gets funnier when you
Worth
explain
about
it, Sam.
96 cents, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, probably.
Let me look it up. Yep, that's right. It's okay. Would you say this is a fun podcast, or are you doing this just to stay locked in the zone, just to be like, all right, what are the trends?
It's mostly fun. The thing about there are a ton of Magic the Gathering podcasts and Magic the Gathering YouTube shows. because it's really easy for people to do. They can just sit down and talk about what they want to talk about. The differences between which ones I like and which ones I don't like tend to be production quality and personality.
Sure.
As with most podcasts, personality is the thing that really makes or breaks the podcast. If you like the personality of what people are talking about, it's going to make it so much more enjoyable to listen to than if someone is just boring and going on about strategy for an hour.
I do feel like it's almost a prerequisite. Like, people can have all the knowledge and strategy and understanding of the mechanics that they want. If they're real boring to listen to or like unlikable, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It does not matter at all. Once you hit that baseline of you're enjoyable to listen to, then other things start to count, but not until then at all. Not even remotely.
That is the minimum requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So, Teak, what would you rate this podcast? If you're going to put it on some scale, where would you put it?
Usefulness, I would probably give it like a 3. They don't really take themselves the most seriously, but in terms of just overall enjoyment, probably a 4.
Good.
I enjoy listening to it.
It's a solid podcast if you're in the hobby, but if you want to be elite, get out of here. Go somewhere else.
You should be doing something else besides listening to a podcast.
Fair.
I get up every morning. I flip over all my cards just to make sure I'm fast.
Just to make sure I'm fast.
Well, thank you, Teak. Now we're going to go play a game in our inbox at podpodcastcastpod@gmail.com.
Whoa.
Listener, you can send in an email. We'll read it off. If you don't want us to read it off, shouldn't send in an email. No, you can. Just let us know, and we won't. We've got an email today. Subject line, notes of, all caps, weird, goofy conduct.
That does sound like Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Honor, greetings from all of us in the Wine People Congress. That was capitalized. That's a proper noun.
Okay.
I hope this email finds you absurd, because who ever heard of gargling wine? I'm glad I read this in advance because I could not remember what they were talking about.
Uh-huh.
We are deeply offended by this erroneous statement, but we will nevertheless extend forgiveness and express our sincere gratitude to Haley for correctly identifying the difference between the dentist and wine people. We simply must make clear that wine people are not dentists, for the wine does not have teeth. It's true. This is a regrettably common misconception, but you're still kind of weird for saying it, because literally, who had ever heard of gargling wine? This is weird. Next time, please say something more correct. We at the Wine People Congress look forward to the next installment of your audio saga careening down the airwaves. Bonjourne, the Wine People Congress.
Gosh.
Okay.
I forgot that I said we were talking about wine. I don't remember why.
Gargling it.
Okay, and I looked this up. So the answer is, and this may surprise you, people do not gargle wine. Or at least I found no evidence, which doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It seems like a good way to aerate it.
Okay, exactly. That's what they're always talking about. They're talking about putting the freaking air in there. And I'm just saying, if you went, like, I think it would go good.
It would aerate it, but also it would burn your throat with the alcohol.
But that's good. That'll make you strong. You know what I mean? That'll
Yeah.
prevent infection. Like, you got tonsil stones down there. You got a
Tonsil stones.
strep throat. I don't know what else. Throat illnesses. Gargle alcohol. This is not medical advice. Okay, people don't gargle, but they kind of do the mouthwash thing where you swish it around.
This makes sense.
Yes.
This is the same.
Well,
I
This
was
is
correct.
the same.
The real answer here is the aeration is so that the wine oxidizes a little bit.
Sure.
And doing that before you drink it and in your mouth gets that flavor change to happen before it hits your taste buds. If you gargle the wine, it's already mostly past your taste buds. So it's kind of useless.
Oh.
This is, I
Thanks,
think...
Reverend Dr. Teak, for coming in. I feel like
Yeah,
we
I
had
think-
just a science segment.
I think
I'm
this
also
is
a
the
bartender.
most... Also that...
Not officially, but I know things.
I think this is the most like actual real answer to anything ever that we've had on the podcast.
Yeah, that was educational. That's not what this podcast is about.
No, we're about being absurd and ridiculous. And what the line of the email say?
Well, in that case, I would like to Trevi fountain some wine onto Sam right now, but
Let's do that.
okay.
I don't know what that means, and I'm scared. Thank you, Wine People, the Wine People Congress, for emailing in. Listener, if you want to email in, come on and do it. We'll read it off in a future episode. It'll be a great time. Let us know if you have any feedback or any podcasts you want us to listen to, or if you have any corrections, such as you don't like how I gargle my wine. While you're down there writing your dang email, write a little review. Wherever you're listening to this, hey, Apple Podcast people, I know you're listening to this. John, Timothy, other people, I hope that got some folks.
Mm-hmm.
Write a little review. Give us 5 stars. We love it. We appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who does that. If you write a review, we'll read it off. If you can't and you're on Spotify, leave a comment or something. Engage.
Just yelling engage.
Otter, thank you for potting with me.
Thank you for potting with me, and thank you for potting with us, Teak. It's dark outside, so it could be any time, truly, to me.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you get over your crippling card addiction.
I will not.
Bye.
Bye.